Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday, November the 8th, 2025. And you can probably see again, we are not actually out walking at the moment. It's been very stop-start this morning. You probably can't see it, but it is actually spitting very heavily at the moment. We've tried to go out. It's rained, it's stopped, it's rained, it's stopped. And as I said, at the moment, it's just a heavy spit. So I need to get the video out at some stage. So little Neil's been out here, and at least he's done his business, had a bit of a sniff around. He's wanted to go, then he's wanted to go inside, then he's wanted to go, then he's wanted to go inside. So it's been an interesting morning. But either way, I thought I'd better just get this video out as I said, it spits heavily, but if it keeps going, I'll head around the back under the patio. But on this day, let's get started. Big night, by the way, last night with the show in Melbourne, Sam LeBruna fight night. Really good night of fights on Dazn. But I've got a bit to say about that as well as Dazn. Let's get into on this day in boxing history. Just a few to get through today. We'll start with there's a lot to go through. I've got to just sort of sift through the main ones. 1988. Sambu Kalambe with a 7th round knockout of Doug DeWitt. That was in Monte Carlo. Good fighter was Sambu Kalambe. Ended up getting knocked out by Michael Nunn in the first round and never really reached any heights after that. But up to that point, he was a very good fighter. It was Sambu Kalambe. In 1997, Las Vegas, Nevada. Evander Holyfield with an 8th round stoppage or knockout of Michael Moorer to retain the WBA title, heavyweight title, and to actually win the IBF title, so a unification fight. Evander Holyfield, I did see the other day that he actually said he was a greater fighter than Muhammad Ali. Now, I suppose the most natural thing to do would be to laugh that off, but look at the resumes. I'm not saying he was greater than Muhammad Ali, but just look at the resume of Evander Holyfield. Undisputed at cruiserweight, undisputed at heavyweight, beat Tyson twice, the Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, George Foreman, Larry Holmes. I mean, you name it, he fought them, did Evander Holyfield. And again, I'm not saying he was greater than Muhammad Ali, but geez, you've got to give him his props as far as his career goes. Evander Holyfield, just a true all-time great. What else have we got here? In 2003 in Las Vegas, Roy Jones Jr. won a 12-round decision over Antonio Tarver to retain that world light heavyweight title. Now, I've got a feeling that was after the John Ruiz fight. And he came back from heavyweight down to light heavyweight. And this will probably be his last big win. Because after this fight, I'm pretty sure that's when Tarver starched him the next time. And then, of course, his career sort of went awry after that. So, and speaking of Roy Jones Jr., in 2008, he would lose a 12-round decision to Joe Calzaghe for the world light heavyweight title. And one more in 2014 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Sergey Kovalev would win a 12-round decision over Bernard Hopkins to retain the IBF, WBA, and WBO light heavyweight titles. Or it was a unification, it looks like it was there. He retained the WBO and won the IBF and WBA, but all those 3 belts on the line anyway. So that's what happened on this day in boxing history. All right, so on to last night's show. Really enjoyed it, actually. I wasn't quite sure what we would get. I knew a couple of fights would be rippers, but it ended up being we had pretty much all fights were well, apart from I think the first one, which lasted about 90 seconds. But I thought the card was really solid. I really did. And even though the Bala and Borobev fight really didn't constitute a main event, in my opinion, I thought it just topped the night off really well with just a good even scrap. To kick the night off, we had Connor Hall and Joshua Shannon. Now, Connor Hall won by first round knockout, but I tell you what, in the first probably minute, I thought Joshua Shannon, I think it's Super Shannon or Superman, whatever he is, I thought it was going to go the other way because they both went out and you could tell one was 18, one was 20. And it was almost like you're going to one of those amateur fight nights and they're having the first fights and it's just arms and legs going everywhere. And that's what it was like in the first minute. And old Connor Hall, I think he was I'm not sure, but I've got a feeling he was supposed to be the A side, and ended up he got the win. But I've got a feeling he was supposed to be the A side, and went out there as such, and went out just throwing bombs. And Joshua Shannon had a couple of 1-2 Timmy Zoos waiting for him, and actually shook him up a couple of times with some really good shots. And I thought, if this Connor Hall isn't careful here, he's going to walk right into one from Joshua Shannon, and it's going to be all over. But it ended up being the exact opposite. He ended up landing on Joshua Shannon and got him out of there in the first 90 seconds. But if I was Joshua Shannon, I wouldn't be put off by this fight. Good young kid. I mean, they're only two novices, 18 and 20, as I said, so they've got a long way to go. And Connor Hall looks like he'll be okay as well. But I'd tell you what, he just needs to work on a little bit of defence coming in, because he got stood up straight at one stage by a left hook, I think it was. Hit him right on the button, and he just sort of momentarily froze in time. And I thought, geez, if Joshua Shannon can land another one here, he's probably going to be the one that has the knockout. But it ended up being the other way around. Connor Hall, to his credit, landed the shot. And as I said, it looks like an okay young kid, but he needs to work on his defence coming in, and maybe set things up with a jab or two before he delivers those big punches. But a good, entertaining fight to get things going anyway. I enjoyed it, even though it only went 90 seconds. The next fight, Jonte Metaxas, the tax man, like that, against Ong Sander. So I didn't mind that fight either. Ong Sander come in with a record of 0-3, I think. And I think it was, it's not coming up there. I think it was 0-3. And when he came in the ring, I thought, oh, here we go. This is just the record patter for Jonte Metaxas, who looks pretty good. He's from the Bella stable, and thought he looked like a kid they can work with. But I must admit, yeah, when I saw the records, and then I saw the Sander jump in the ring, I thought, oh, this is not going to be good. But he actually put up a really good fight. I was actually quite impressed. He lost pretty much every round, and Metaxas looked okay. As he steps up in his calibre of opposition, we'll see how he goes. But I think that was his second win. So I think this Sander was probably the first, the perfect fight for him, actually, to add to his record. A good, solid, tough guy who probably knew he was the B side, but turned up and gave a really good effort anyway. And I really enjoyed that fight. And again, a good way to get probably the main sort of prelims sort of concluded. But a good fight, good win from Metaxas. As I said, he improved to 2-0, and Sander dropped to 0-4. Then we got into the main card, and I think, I'm just trying to get the order right. I think it was Maya Solomon and Josie Parr next. I think it was. It doesn't really matter, does it? I'll go to that fight next, but what a fight. Maya Solomon with a 7th round stoppage of Jazzy Parr. She improves to 10-1. Jazzy Parr dropped to 8-2. Now, this was an excellent fight. It ended up being a little bit bizarre, because I thought Jazzy Parr pretty much dominated the fight and then got caught in the 7th round. And Maya Solomon, to her credit, got her out of there. I was really impressed. I thought the first round that Maya Solomon might have taken it. It was very, very close, very close. But I thought Solomon might have taken it just with her pressure, and she looked a little bit more composed, and Jazzy Parr was sort of rushing a little bit. But from then on, I thought that Jazzy Parr, actually it might have been the first 2 rounds. I think it might have been the first 2 rounds. Very, very even rounds, but I did give them both to Solomon, just based on her composure, her picking her shots. I thought just landing the better shots. Jazzy Parr was sort of the busier fighter, but I thought that Maya Solomon just maybe got slightly the better of the exchanges in the first 2 rounds. But then I thought Jazzy Parr dominated for the next 4 rounds. I thought she looked really good. The only criticism I had of her was that I don't understand why she was consistently switching to southpaw. A little bit like Camille Bella would do a little bit later on in the fight. It just ends up negating the fighter, and I just don't get it, especially from long range. When a fighter turns their opposite stance from long range, I just think it negates themselves and actually gives the upper hand to their opponent. But anyway, I'm sure they've got the reasons for doing it. But Jazzy Parr switching from southpaw to orthodox, and when she did switch, that's when Maya Solomon actually had the most success, I thought. But even though Solomon did have success, I thought that Jazzy Parr was getting the better of everything, and I had her up 4-2 after 6 rounds. I thought, she looked really impressive, and Maya Solomon looked like she was gassed. Really struggling with the speed and movement. and just the skill of Jazzy Parr. And then in the 7th round, this is why these title fights are 10 or 12 rounds. You got to just get past the basic skill and everything. You got to dig in as far as heart and game plan and all that sort of stuff goes. And Maya Solomon hung in there and nailed Jazzy Parr with a couple of right hands, dropped her. I thought that was more of a shock. Well, not a shock knockdown, a flash knockdown when she dropped Jazzy Parr. Though I wasn't that concerned about Jazzy Parr, her her faculties. I thought she looked okay. I think it was more just, all right, I got caught. All right, no drama, let's get up. But then she did look in a little bit of trouble, and Maya Solomon, a very, very good finisher, went after her, got her with some really good shots, and Jazzy Parr ended up sort of turning away. So she sort of got tangled up in the ropes, but turned away, and Maya Solomon just sort of kept punching as she should, and the referee had no choice but to stop the fight. So a very, very surprising result for me. I thought Jazzy Parr would have won that fight. Not to say that it's all over for Jazzy Parr. Well, she's 8-2. She's had 10 fights. But just judging by her interview afterwards and her demeanour, I've got a feeling that this is a person who hasn't lost a lot of times in her life, hasn't been told no a lot of time in her life, and she struggles to handle adversity. I think Jazzy Parr, and maybe things not going her way, but that's boxing, that's the life, and I hope she continues on with it. I think she's got a lot of ability. For only 10 fights, I think she can go a long way. She's 22 years of age, I think she was, so got plenty of time. So I hope it doesn't discourage her, because I think she can still go a long way in the sport. But she just has to get out of her mindset that it's just all supposed to go her way, and if it doesn't, there's something wrong with the universe type of attitude. And I think she just needs to knuckle down. And in women's boxing, it doesn't matter. You lose the fight, win. We all want to win, of course. But if you lose the fight, especially at 22 years of age, she's got a long, long way to go. And I just think give her another even 5 or 6 years. I know that's a long time. I mean, she could have 20 fights in that time. That's when she's actually going to be hitting her peak. She's nowhere near it physically and probably mentally as well. So, you've got girls in the women's boxing going on in their 40s. So she's got a long time in the sport if she wants it. But I just think she needs to, firstly, I think Paul Briggs does an okay job with what he's doing, but I just think maybe she could get someone a little bit more suited to her. Just my opinion anyway. I'm not sure Paul Briggs is the answer, but it's her decision. She'll do what she wants. But Maya Solomon, great effort, did what good fighters do, behind on points, took a chance and got Jazzy Parr out of there. So a really good performance from Maya Solomon. Then we went to the highlight of the night, Monir Fathy versus Andrew Hunt. And I don't care what other knockout I see for the rest of the year, or no, it's almost the end of the year. Let's say to the end of 2026. This for me is the knockout of the year for 2026 as well. Roll it into that. What a knockout from Andrew Hunt, and what a performance from Andrew Hunt. I knew, well, I'm not going to say I knew, but I did pick him to win. I'm not sure. I actually forgot to even mention this fight yesterday. I apologise about that. I didn't actually have it in front of me and just quickly went through the card and forgot even about this fight, even though this was the one I was looking forward to the most. Because Monir Fathy, good fighter, very well schooled, good team behind him, but so does Andrew Hunt. I just remember Andrew Hunt from back when I was promoting. He was on the Giraffe and Horn fight in Bendigo, and had a really good chat to Andrew. I picked him up from the airport and did all the media and that with him. Really good young kid, good head on his shoulders. And I saw him in the gym, I saw him fight, and I thought, this kid is got all the talent in the world. He's been out of the sport for, I think, for 3 years, whatever it was. Came back, I think, earlier this year. But I thought when this fight was sort of announced, I thought, geez, I know it's all about Monir Fathy, but Andrew Hunt, if he turns up the way I remember him back then, he's going to give Fathy all he can handle, and that's the way it transpired. And just brilliant boxing in and out, really good southpaw, solid. He can box, he can punch, he's just got everything, Andrew Hunt. And I'm really interested to see what he's going to be like, maybe with another 3 or 4 fights under his belt, because he made Monir Fathy look pretty ordinary last night. I thought it was a lot sort of closer, I thought, than what the commentators were saying. I thought they had, what round did it end? Round number 6, I think it was. I think they had Andrew Hunt 5 rounds to 0. I wouldn't have gone that far. I would have went 4-1, maybe even 3-2. I thought Fathy might have won a couple of rounds, but either way, I just thought Andrew Hunt had his measure, just in and out. He made Fathy look pretty pedestrian, I thought, just sort of stuck in the one spot. He kept missing. He's getting counted all the time. And then in the 6th round, just that left hand, just boom, right on the button. And Fathy, well, the only good thing about that knockout, he wouldn't have had a clue what happened. He would have woke up on the canvas and thought, geez, where am I? And would have been a nice, peaceful little 5-second sleep for him. But yeah, just an unbelievable knockout from Andrew Hunt, and the world's his oyster, isn't it? And I think he's the type of guy that they probably want to keep someone like Nikita Azu away from at the moment. And I know Nikita's stepping up to fight Zarafa, which so it doesn't sound right that I'm saying you should stay away from Andrew Hunt. But young fighters like Andrew Hunt, who can fight with nothing to lose, with very, very good skills and all the rest of it, could be the type of fighter that derails someone like Nikita Azu. So, yeah, he definitely is on watch, Andrew Hunt. I think he can do some good things in boxing. Very, very good kid, as I said, and he can fight. And that knockout, wow. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's on YouTube or social media or something. Go check it out because it was unbelievable. Then we went to the 2 main fights on the wall. 2 of the top 3 main fights on the card. Mariah Turner with a unanimous decision over Stephanie Lee Cutting. Really not much to say about this fight except the difference in class was stark. It really was. Mariah Turner just showed Stephanie Cutting a clean set of heels, didn't she? Just dominated every round. I really struggled to give Cutting a round. I just thought she was so far out of her depth it was not funny. I'm not trying to disrespect her. I'm just telling it the way it is. Mariah Turner, very, very classy young fighter. Her movement, her footwork, her hand speed, just everything. Her counters just made Cutting look pretty ordinary, I thought. And I'm trying not to be disrespectful to Stephanie Cutting because she got in there and gave it her best. But she just looked like a fish out of water. She really did. Mariah Turner looked like what she is, a very, very well-schooled fighter. Up there, of course, with Luke Meldon and Steve Duller and the crew up there. It's great to see they all flew down for her as well. I saw Jake Wiley and Connor Wallace and that in the corner. That is awesome. That is a sign of a very, very good, solid, united team where the whole gym flies down to support. They all got in the ring afterwards. You could see they were ecstatic for Mariah Turner, and there's probably no coincidence that gym is probably one of the best gyms in Australia as far as what they produce because they're such a close-knit team. But all that aside, yeah, I just thought Mariah Turner was just levels above Stephanie Lee Cutting, and as I said, hand speed, foot speed, counters, the quality of the punches, the technique, all that sort of stuff, you name it, and she was just levels above Stephanie Lee Cutting, unfortunately, who again tried her best, but as I always say, there's levels in this sport, and yeah, I thought Mariah Turner was probably 2 or 3 levels above Cutting, who I'm sure will come back, but she needs to work on a few things. All right, then we go to the main event, Kamil Bella, Sergey Vorobov, and probably the first thing I saw in this fight was just how big Vorobov was. I've seen him fight a couple of times. I haven't seen him fight since he got iced by Matteo Tapia. I thought it was a good even fight for Kamil Bella, who used to fight as a lightweight, by the way, and now campaigns at super welterweight. So he's put on, about 8.5 kilos. And geez, good nick too, Kamil Bella. Also, he's got a pretty good rig on him, as does Sergey Vorobov. I think I might have called him Victor Vorobov the other day, by the way, guys, so sorry about that. But the first thing I saw was the size, and the first round almost looked like, it reminded me of Ivan Drago trying to track down Apollo Creed in their fight in Rocky IV when Apollo Creed sort of just moving, running for his life almost, and the big Russian Ivan Drago's in centre ring just following him around. That's what it looked like in the first round. But then I thought Kamil Bella sort of found his feet, got his range and started to pick the pace up. I thought it was pretty even. I think the final scorecards, if I've got it here, where was it? I'm not sure they've actually got the scorecards listed here. No, they don't. I think it was an only an 8 round. I think it was 77-75 times 2, and I think it was 78-74 for Kamil Bella. I would have had it probably 5 rounds to 3. I just thought Vorobov had the fight there to take, but he just looks like one of these fighters who just can't put it into that extra gear to actually take the fight. It does enough to stay in the fight. to maybe even get in front of the fight, but he just can't take that extra step and actually take it by the throat and just take control of the fight and own the fight. And I thought that fight was there for him to take last night. I thought the first probably 3 or 4 rounds, I probably had him in front. I think the commentators had him in front as well. But Camille Bella just sort of hung in there and just sort of stole a few rounds here and there and finished pretty well and stole the fight. So, I think it's one that got away from Borobev. I shouldn't laugh, but I can laugh, I suppose. It was pretty funny. But in the interview afterwards, Camille Bella, classy, very, very classy he was in what he had to say. He said, look, I don't get into all this trash talk and all that sort of stuff. I just want to get the best out of my career. He's 36 years of age now, so he hasn't got long left. But that when Borobev was interviewed and he sort of squished his face in because Camille Bella was pretty marked up and the swollen eye and sort of mimicked what Camille Bella looked like, and he squished all his face up, and the interviewer, what's her name, Monique Baverna, whatever her name was, didn't really know how to deal with that, and it was pretty funny. I'm pretty sure even Camille Bella would have laughed at that when he watched it back, but he thought he was robbed. A lot of people thought that maybe he might have got the decision, but I thought it was fair. 5 rounds to 3. I'm not going to argue that. I thought it might have even been a draw at one stage, but I'm not going to argue with the result. Camille Bella, the hometown boy, and a good venue too, good crowd. Looked like there was maybe 1,000, maybe a little bit more in the room. I thought it was a really good set-up show. The only issue I thought though was the sound quality was sort of in and out a little bit. I just thought that sometimes you couldn't hear the commentators, and the in-between sort of stuff left a bit to be desired. But hey, it's a Friday night, the fights are on. I thought it was fantastic, and the whole night was really well run. And one thing about Sam Labruna, puts on a really good show. One of the unheralded promoters of Australia, but when he does put on a show, he doesn't put on a lot of shows. He might only do a couple a year, but when he does put on the shows, are always very, very good quality, always good fights, and always spares no expense in the entertainment and the production and all that sort of stuff. So I enjoyed it. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Just a couple of things as well that I wanted to go over. Now, Dazn have released the ultimate package. So things are going to change up. So I think I said the other day that with Dazn, there's going to be no more pay-per-views. There's going to be one fee for the whole year. You can either pay monthly or upfront like you do now, but it'll be a hell of a lot more. But the pay-per-views will be included. So Turki Al-Sheikh didn't lie. He said there will be no more pay-per-views. The only problem is that you're going to pay for every pay-per-view whether you like it or not. So the way it's going to work is, if I can find it here, did I just lose? Oh, no, there it is there. All right, so at the moment, it varies all over the world. I think here in Australia, it's like 140, 150 a year if you pay all at once. And I think it is $30 a month, I think, if you pay as you go. Then you've got to pay for your pay-per-views. So the way it's going to work in the States is $45 a month if you want to pay monthly. Now, at the moment, I think it is it 25? I think it is. So it's going to go to $45 a month. And then if it's going to be $450 a year if you pay up front, which is a hell of a lot of money to pay. And I think in England, it's not going to be quite as much and probably won't be as much here. But having said that, if the states have always been 25 and we're 30, we're almost on a par with the exchange rate and everything like that. We're almost on a par with the US. So if you're charging or getting charged $30 a month now, that would probably go to, I would think, best case about $40 a month. And then for the year, it might cost, I don't know, $350 or $400 or something like that. So it's a big increase, but the way they're getting around it is by saying, well, there is no pay-per-views, you pay that amount per year. Now, that's really good in theory. My only question I have is, or issue with that is, first of all, what if the boxing fans out there that you want to jump on board and be part of all this, what if they don't have the money to pay that? That's a major consideration. I don't think all those bigwigs in the ivory towers have considered. Now, I'm just taking the United States as an example. I mean, if they've got to pay, and a lot of them will have to pay monthly because a lot of them maybe won't have what did I say, $450 just to fork out for a year's subscription. So they'll be paying, what's that, $540 a year. Now, I know in the context of things, it doesn't seem a hell of a lot of money, but you put that on top of Netflix and Paramount and Amazon Prime and all these other apps that we've got to have to watch boxing. It's a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money just to tack onto everyone's yearly spend and how they budget the TV. Because all of a sudden, whether it be boxing, football, basketball, or UFC, every sort of major sport has now its own Fight Pass or whatever you might want to call it, or a subscription-based membership. So in the years gone by where you could pretty much jump on TV and watch all your favourite sports, geez, the way of the future going forward is it's to watch anything is going to be a hell of an expensive year when you put all these amounts together. So I just don't know. And that's the first thing. But the next thing is, well, I think fans are sort of fed up just with being led by, again, these bigwigs about every month they've got to keep putting their hands in their pocket. I mean, you can still apparently pay, or I think at the moment it's $60 for a pay-per-view. I'm not sure whether you can still get a normal subscription where you can just pay as you go. I'm not sure, or whether you have to pay all inclusive. I'm not exactly sure, but the way I read it was you've got to pay that subscription. It's the ultimate package. So maybe there will be one below that where you can still pay as you are, but you still got to pay full whack for your pay-per-view. So we'll see. Look, there'll probably be a lot of people out there that go, okay, yeah, that's cool. But at what stage, I think I've said this in a previous video, at what stage do they have this ultimate package? And then we get an Usyk and Fury or a Canelo and Crawford type of an event, and they go, well, yeah, you're on the ultimate package, but this one's it's a little bit bigger than all the rest of them, so we're still going to have to maybe charge you a bit extra for one. You can just see it's coming. You can just see it. That's the way these guys roll. And you've got the wolf in sheep's clothing in Turki Al-Sheikh out there, who's supposedly trying to do the best for all the boxing fans out there. Well, I haven't seen anything yet that's really improved the situation. If anything, it's got worse. We've got this TKO boxing coming in. We've now got this Dazn thing coming in. And all the time he's saying he's doing the best for boxing. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. And don't forget too that Turki Al-Sheikh does have a stake in Dazn as well. So, and the Saudis. So I know a lot of people don't see it that way, but unfortunately I do. So that's what's happening with Dazn. So if you're a Dazn subscriber, look out for more fees coming your way. Now, just one more thing before I go. Xander Zayas and Abbas Barao have, looks like they've agreed to fight in January to unify the WBA and WBO 154-pound titles. So we are on the way, ladies and gentlemen, to the hottest division in boxing to start unifying these belts, which means there's going to be some great fights coming up. So we've got Zayas and Barao, Fundora, or Thurman, whatever happens with that one. You would think that Bouts Ennis will fight Virgil Ortiz after that. The winner of that will most likely fight Sebastian Fundora down the track. So a lot of fights to look forward to. And don't forget, of course, our man Tim Tszyu back in action pretty soon as well. So it's starting to come down a little bit heavy here, guys. So I think that'll do it. Have an awesome Saturday. We'll catch you tomorrow.